Are you struggling with your clamping solutions? Do you need more clamps, but you nearly fall over when you look at the price of them online? Well, I've got you covered. I'm going to show you today the simple upgrade that I've made that's allowed me to expand the amount of clamps I have in the workshop without spending a penny. This has been a fantastic solution that's helped me no end. So let me pass it on to you. This is why it's so key to keep a healthy scraps bin. Here I'm picking out 4 pieces of Meranti and a piece of oak that I salvaged from a bed. What I like here is the 4 pieces of Meranti are all cut to the same dimensions, so there's no more milling to do on this project. So after 3 years and hundreds of glutes, my clamps have finally started to fail. The problem with these clamps is the notches on the spines are wearing down and it's failing to hold. The clamps hold at the point that I'm tightening them, but when I come back in the morning, the arm is slack and the glue joint is sloppy. I'm getting to a level now where I can no longer accept that. It's really important that we find the centre line for the Meranti. If you've not got one of these already, you need to make yourself one. It's a centre finding jig. It's simply 2 dowels with a hole in the middle for your pencil to go through. As you run this down the length of wood, it will allow you to draw a line perfectly in the middle. We then move on to marking. There's a hole at the top that's going to be the part that attaches to the top board. We need a small gap after that, and then every 2 inches we are going to make a mark. This is going to allow us to change the size of the clamps quick and easy. Now if we've done this right, this should put a cross on each piece at a 2-inch interval. Then we need to come back and drill. Before countersinking, and then a quick sand. Now that we've done the arms, we're going to move on to the feet. We need a top piece of 12 inches and 2 bottom pieces of 6 inches. Having used the centre finder again, it's time to drill some more holes. The 2 smaller feet will have 1 hole in the middle. The larger top piece will have a hole at either side. And I'm interested to know from you guys, what tool solutions have you come up with to get you from where you were to where you want to be without breaking the bank? Let me know in the comments below. You never know, it might be something that I can use. Now with all our pieces cut and drilled, it's on to assembly. So I'm going to set out everything I'm going to need here. I've got my boards, I've got star knobs, I've got bolts. For assembly, you attach the top piece to 2 of the arms, and then as long as you make sure that your feet are on the same hole as the other side, you're good to go. So with my clamps made, it's time to put them to work, bringing value to the workshop, still without costing me a penny. Coincidentally, I'm gluing some Meranti onto an oak panel. First of all, I start by putting a bead of glue down both pieces of Meranti. I square it onto the oak board and apply the clamps, making sure I push it out as far as I can to get the maximum amount of pressure onto that glue joint. And I've got to say just how surprised I was the next day at the tightness that these clamps had remained overnight. I've left this footage in because it just shows how difficult it was to release that tension. And that's how tight the boards have been pinched together. The final result as well has come out fantastic. These seams are nice and tight. There's very little gap. I'll just need to do a little final sand just to make sure it's all nice and flush. Overall, I'm really impressed with these clamps. However, there is one thing that I have noticed that's worth making a point of for yourselves if you're going to make this build. The star knobs I've used cap at the top and they're not a through nut. The problem comes there is my bolts have been slightly longer, so I've had to pack it out with some washers because I've found the tighter that you can get the two pieces of wood to sit together, the tighter the joint is. So I hope you take away as much as I've got out of this build. I've loved making this beginner series of builds. These are all the types of videos that I wish I'd have seen 3 or 4 years ago when I started. Maybe you can cut some of the corners that cost me so much in those early days. And until the next time I see you, have a good one in your shop.